Welcome to the Making of Me podcast, where we explore the moments, experience, and choice that shape who we have become today. I'm joined by Joshua Routh. Joshua, it's really a pleasure having you on the show.
Thanks, Harold. Nice to be here. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you. So, Joshua, what were those earlier challenges in your life that shape you into who you are today?
A challenge that shaped me into who I am today. Uh, there have been lots of challenges in my life that have shaped me. Everything from learning to be a forest firefighter to working with Chinese acrobats in the circus. It's sometimes hard to pick just one. We're constantly shaped by our choices and the situations we're put in. For me, I would have to say the very first magic show I ever did was for 300 kids, and I was alone in a barn with the 300 kids, and it was hot, and I was supposed to do 90-minute show, an hour and a half show, and I had about 15 minutes worth of material. I only had about 15 minutes of show that I could do, and about 10 minutes in, the kids started chanting, suck, you suck, you suck, and telling me how terrible I was. And I was terrible. It was a terrible show. I was terrible. But what what I didn't know, and I grabbed all my stuff and I ran. I just ran for the car and I left, and that was it. I'm out. I'm done. And I think what shaped me about that was the idea that often we say we're one thing because we believe that we're that thing without having the real skill to back that up, without really knowing who we are. Because we have this idea of who we are and who we want to be, but that doesn't always match up identically to who we really are. And so I think there's a journey of self awareness that we have to go through to really take a look at ourselves and say, am I really who I say I am? Can I really show up in the way that I say I can?
Can I really show uh, for who I say I am? Yeah, amazing. So, you began performing at a very young age. What did clowning and live performance teach you about connection that school never could?
Man, I wasn't a very good student in school as it was. What did performing teach me that school couldn't teach me? School, it was not always a safe place because I didn't do good in school and I wasn't my teacher's favorites and I didn't have a lot of friends. Performing gave me self-esteem. It gave me a way to connect with other people in a way that I couldn't before. It was an entryway into meeting people and bringing joy to their lives. Once I realized that I was capable of bringing joy into people's lives, that's all I really wanted to do. I wanted to bring happiness and joy and make people feel good because it made me feel so good. It was like I was getting applause for bringing good things into the world. And that really filled a gap that I had.
Amazing, amazing. So you actually work in disaster recovery for firefighting, performance, and leadership. How did those all intense environment change how you show up under pressure?
Oh my gosh, you're jumping around. Yeah, so I was a forest firefighter for a year and I worked on natural disasters. I was in an inland hurricane, I was in an ice storm, and I have seen flooding in people's basements and worked in helping disaster relief. And it really gave me a sense of gratitude in a lot of ways for my own life that I'll never be able to shake. Also, it showed me for long days that we would work and where we depended on each other. And those long days where you could count on somebody else, knowing that you had to show up and be there for them. It was always more important to be there for the other person than it was, even if you were tired, you knew that you had to be there for the rest of the team. You had to be there for the rest of the people on the fire line. You had to be there because nobody else was going to be helping these people. Nobody else was going to do the job. So, in that sense, as a 19-year-old kid, it gave me a sense of purpose. It gave me a drive to change my own life because I was leading up to being a forest firefighter. I was, I did a lot of, drinking and had a lot of substance abuse issues. And I learned during that time that there was another way, that I could live another way, that I could do different by my life, and that I could, I had choices. There was one specific time that I was working on a forest fire and it was at night, and it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I don't know if you've ever seen a forest on fire at night, but the glow of the fire and the
Yeah.
trees standing up there in it, it can be very intimidating and very intense. It just became a great metaphor for my own life burning down around me. And I knew that I had to make some choices for myself to save my own life because there was nobody, there was no cavalry, there was nobody coming to save me. I had to make those choices, and otherwise, I was going to burn down everything I had in my entire life, and I wasn't ready for that. And there's certain kinds of pine cones and trees and grasses that only grow after a burn.
Yeah.
So when we would burn a forest, new growth came from that. And it was very symbolic in my own life that a lot of new growth came after that moment of realization.
Yeah, amazing, amazing, amazing. I'm just wondering with the firefight and seeing the full bush burning, how the experience is going to be like because the heat is usually intense. Yeah, a whole lot. So you often talk about presence and sincerity. When did you first realize that performing confidence wasn't the same as being grounded in truth?
That's a great question. When did I realize that performing confidence was is different than being grounded in truth? I think my wife helped me with that.
Mm,
My wife very much helped me get to the core of what it was that I was doing on stage, because there's a lot of times where people will ask me to perform and they'll ask me to do something maybe I don't know how to do or I've never done before. And there's an old phrase, fake it till you make it. And there is an element to sometimes you have to pretend that you know
yeah,
something and throw yourself in it and figure it out. And that's fine and that's performative, but you can't expect that you're going to get the best result out of it. And so taking time to really say, well, I know this and I can do this, and then being that for other people, being not being performative, but being genuine, being sincere, and being true to what you really can deliver. My wife always talks about don't overpromise and underdeliver, because I love to tell the big story. So I'll sell the big story, and she'll say, "You're overpromising. Let's talk about what you really can deliver, or let's talk about what really goes into it.
yeah,
What really is that going to mean for you?" Because I'll get excited. I want to people please. I want you to be happy with me. I want you to be, yes, this is good. And those things sometimes turn into a situation where I'm writing checks that I can't cash, or I have to learn real
yeah,
fast. And I've been good at learning really fast, but it's so much less stressful when you focus on what you really know. And if you don't know, making a plan to bridge that gap. There's a lot of times that it may not be that far of a leap. So then you have to like make a plan and say, this is what I have to do. If I'm going to be this in a month, if I'm going to perform this in a month, I have to learn this. I have to buy this costume. I have to talk to this person who's done it before. I have to find out all the pitfalls. And then I have to assess and say, am I willing to do all that work? Because if I'm willing to do all that work, then it's a good deal, because I'm not a fool. I'm not dumb. I can learn things. I'm capable of learning things. So then I can sell it even if I don't know it, but am I willing to put in the work? And I think that's where a lot of people fall short. I know that I've fallen short there in the
yeah.
past where I won't put in the work. And today I'm glad to say that I assess a lot more, willing to put in that work, because there is a lot of hours that go into those sorts of things.
Amazing, amazing. I think it's the fact that we just make reference of, yeah, other than overpromise and underdeliver, it's better you underpromise and overdeliver, because at the end of the day, people are going to hold forth to the fact that you promised and couldn't deliver up to that expectation. It's going to be a bit disappointing. Yeah, amazing. You said that dropping the arts and learning to repair fast was a turning point for you. What made the lessons unavoidable?
On repairing, learning to repair. This is an interesting thing. When you make a mistake, a lot of times people think that what you need to do is bring everybody a gift like donuts or like a snack or chocolates, or
Yeah,
here you go, this will fix it. But that doesn't fix it. That just makes you feel better that you did something instead of actually changing. And I think that there is something to be said for when you mess up, you have to own it and you have to give the other person space to accept that apology or not. But The key thing is you have to change. And I found most in my life, the most rewarding repair that I've done, the repair that's lasted the most, is when I have done the work on the other side to change, to do things different. I run half marathons. I've never run a marathon. Those people are crazy. I run half marathons. And when I run half marathons, I've done really well and I've done really, really bad. And the times that I've done really, really bad are the times that I didn't prepare, I didn't do the work, and I expected the same result I get when I do the work. And I had to learn that the repair to myself, what I owed myself, was to train harder, to train better, and to do it different next time. So instead of blaming the circumstances and blaming everything around it and saying it's not my fault and defending, I had to take ownership for the fact that I didn't train in heat, or I didn't bring enough water for myself, or I didn't spend enough hours out there running and training. And so then the next time I would have to do that. To repair, I would have to do the real training and do the real work.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. More like taking responsibility of when it didn't get to fall through or into your actions, which is repairing, rather than denying it. Yeah, amazing. So after years of sword swallowing demand absolute focus and honesty. How does that translate into everyday leadership and relationship?
How does sword swallowing relate to everyday
Yeah,
relationships? Well, you just said it, absolute focus. There's a sense when you're swallowing a sword that you have to be absolutely present in the moment. You know, there's only 100 real sword swallowers in the world. There are people that fake it, and it requires such a control over your body. It takes a sense of control over your muscles and the fear, the very real fear of having almost 2 feet of steel in your throat going straight down into your stomach. And when you have that there, you have to be so present and of everything. And I think in your everyday life, we're so often looking at our phones and we're
yeah,
down here and we're not present with other people. We're not present for ourselves. How am I feeling today? Do I need some water? Do I need extra sleep? Do I need to take care of myself? When I'm sitting with you, am I really seeing you? Am I really talking to you? Am I really listening to
yeah,
what you're saying? Am I really present? And that same presence translates from sword swallowing to relationships. And I find that the more I really pay attention and I really connect with other people and I really connect with myself, I find that same presence and that fear doesn't exist as much because I do have anxiety. I do have anxiety engaging with people. I'm not immune to it. Performing gives you a shield in some ways for many people to hide behind. And when I perform, I'm glad to say I don't have to do that. I'm myself. I'm true to who I am on the stage in a way that I can engage with people, but really listen to my audience and really listen to the volunteers and really see them and connect with them and really be present with them. It's so vital because in our world today, so many of us are internal. We look at ourselves and we think about ourselves and it's about me and more about me and me as opposed to how can I connect with you? And I think if more people in our world step forward and we're the first people on the dance floor and connected with other people more deeply, we'd have a much different world. I think we'd have a much brighter,
yeah.
warmer, more engaged world, less fear. It'd be great.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much. So, after years of mentorship, mentoring and speaking, what is the mistake you actually see people repeat when trying to lead or connect with others?
A mistake I often see people make when they're trying to lead other people is trying to get someone else to replicate your experiences and completely redo your mistakes. I think I've mentored a lot of people and I can only when I'm mentoring someone can only share my experience. I can't tell them or I can't say if you called me up and you said I'm having a baby. I wouldn't have any I'd be like I don't know anything about that. I've never had children.
Yeah,
I don't know what goes into that. Now, if it was about dogs, I could tell you all about what it is to own a dog because I love dogs and I have many dogs. And if I said to you, Arrow, make sure you give your dogs water. In my experience, I found dogs need water and you choose not to water your dog. That's not my responsibility. I can't own that.
Yeah.
And I also can't make you do that. And I think sometimes mentor relationships are harmed because one person puts too much pressure on the other or limits or starts to talk out of a place of a lack of experience, lack of their own experience, and more in philosophical ways. I think true mentorship comes from experience and sharing your experience, and then you're responsible for the outcome with what you do with that information. You take that information and you do with it what you will. It's not my responsibility at that point.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you, Joshua. So, Joshua, looking back across the roles you have actually played, what has stayed constant about who you are, even as everything has changed?
A desire to grow. I always want to grow. I always want to learn. I always want to do more. I'm not done yet. I'm not perfect. I'm not floating. I'm not doing the and floating 4 feet off the ground. I'm not.
Yeah.
Now, I hope so. I hope someday I do. I really do. I hope someday I figure that out and I'm floating over the ground. That would be really cool. That would be really cool. But I'm not there yet, man. I am a work in progress. I don't espouse anything. I don't tell people anything that you have to do this and you have to do that I haven't done or learned. It's all my experience, and I read a lot. I learn a lot. I have a lot of mentors myself. I'm always asking questions. Sometimes I'm very annoying with how many questions I ask because I want to know. I want the answers. I want to keep growing and keep pushing and see what's next and how far can we take this thing. That's my constant. My constant is how far are we going to take this?
Yeah. Thank you, Joshua. So, Joshua, for my audience who wants to connect with you, who wants to reach out, and also who actually wants to reach out to you for deals or any other things, where can they reach out and where is the best platform for this?
Sure. LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn a lot. I have a Substack as well. Joshua Routh Speaker. That's Routh. So Joshua Routh. You can follow me on Instagram, LinkedIn, also on my website, joshuarouth.com. And there I post all my articles as I write them. There's a whole section of articles, past articles I've written. My new book is out. It's called The S Word.
Yeah.
So sincerity as opposed to, look at me, look at me. It's that idea that everybody is so focused on themselves, and sincerity is a bridge from me to you, that I can be there for you and you can count on me to be there for you in the way that I say I will be.
Yeah, weaving sincerity in the world of performance. Yeah, amazing, amazing. So definitely the link to your website is going to be on the show for my audience is a reach out. Yeah, thank you so much, Daniel, for sharing your stories and your honesty with us today. Yeah.
Thanks. In Nigeria, do they have a concept of sincerity?
Yes, there's a concept. Is it more like as an institution or more like from a personal view?
Yeah. What is the word for it?
We speak English here in Nigeria, though there are different languages depending on the tribe. We have three major languages, which is the Yorubas, the Igbo, and that of the Hausa. So every of them have what they call the term sincerity.
Okay. I love
Yeah,
that. In my book, I write about sincerity all over the world, and every culture has their own version of what
yeah,
that means. I'm fascinated by it because it's a cultural constant. It's something we all have throughout time. It's so
yeah.
important because society doesn't function without me needing you and you needing me and me being there for you. So
Yeah, so true, so true. Yeah, thank you so much, Joshua. Thank you for sharing your stories and your honesty with us. For everyone listening, and hope this conversation gave you something, a real reflection. This has been the Irubenaya Show. I want to give a pleasure and honor having you on the show, Joshua.
thank you so much. It's been a great pleasure.